If it is not broken, don't fix it. The Redmi 14C did so well in sales that Xiaomi decided that let's just do it again. All we have to do is change the design, move the headphone jack to the bottom, increase the battery size and charging speed, and there you have it, the Redmi 15C. The Redmi 15C is basically a 14C in new clothing, better battery, better charging, improved IP rating. They downgraded the selfie camera, but the processor and everything else is mostly the same. What I'm saying is that this is not your ideal upgrade from the 14C. I guess if that did so well, there is no reason for them to change so much. Battery upgrade is probably enough, and the Helio G81 is still very capable. It's an entry-level phone after all. Maybe we should just end the review here since there's not much difference. Nah, you still want to see how well it holds up, especially since unlike the 14C, this comes with Android 15 out the box. So let's see if this is worthy. As of the time I'm recording this video, I have not confirmed its current price, but I suspect it will be around the same price as its predecessor, the 14C. Once I confirm that, I'll either put that in the description or display it on the screen. If you're picking up the Redmi 15C, there is no surprises when it comes to the unboxing experience. It still comes with the essential accessories. That includes the USB cable, the 33 watts charging brick, and the transparent protective casing. There are 3 RAM options depending on your region, 4, 6 or 8 gigs, and the storage gets up to 256 gigs. Mine here is the maxed out version, 8 gig RAM paired with 256 gigs of storage. It is expandable by SD card and it accepts dual nano SIM card. One thing that is obvious with the 15C is that they've changed the design coming from the 14C. I didn't like that design very much, but this looks a lot better and I still prefer the design of the 13C. This, I guess, is a bit similar to that, but that one was cleaner. Not to dwell on that fact, the Redmi 15C is a solid looking device. It comes in a couple of interesting colors. This one is the moonlight blue option. It has this nice design pattern on the rear, which looks a lot like glitters underneath a glass panel. Not confirmed if this is actually glass or plastic, and I won't be dropping it to find out. It's glossy, a bit reflective, and doesn't hide smudges very much. You will also notice a Redmi 15C branding in signature style towards the bottom right. The glass panel is protected with the same glass we saw on the 14C, that is Gorilla Glass 3. The fingerprint scanner as usual is on the power button and it works fine to unlock the device, no issues there. The ports and buttons are all where they are expected to be, and as I mentioned before, the headphone jack has been moved from the top to the bottom. Some fans have been asking for it. Also, there is still no stereo speaker, still no IR blaster, so you can't use the 15C to control your electronic devices. The build quality overall is solid and I'll say it's fitting for a phone at this price point. It also feels okay in the hands, although it's a big phone. It's tall, 6.9 inches. That brings us to the display. 720p 120Hz LCD display. I'll still question the practicality of 120Hz refresh rate on its 720p display, but I guess we love the numbers, so it still works. The refresh rate is mostly consistent, and as expected, you are not going to get 120Hz across the system, only maybe when you are in a system app like in the settings. Elsewhere, you are either going to get 60 or 90Hz depending on what the system decides. That said, the display still looks good for 720p. Those bezels are not the slimmest though, but it's an entry-level phone. You can see the obvious U-notch, which Redmi still decides to maintain, I guess following the footsteps of Samsung. The display is responsive to touch and it looks good. If you're using it for media consumption, you will have no issues there. I still wish we could get stereo speakers though. A lot of the other brands are already leaving Redmi behind in that regard. Not Samsung though. The software here is Android 15 and HyperOS 2 right out the box. A toned down version though, not on the level of the HyperOS on the higher versions of Redmi phones, but it's more optimized than previous versions of HyperOS and in a way it's snappier. There is a little less lag than I experienced while using the 14C. You are not going to get the level of customization or multitasking as you would with say the Note series. There is no pop-up multitasking, there is no split screen, you don't get second space, although you still get multi-user, so there's that. I could not find any official information about the number of expected software updates, but probably 2. While this is the latest version of HyperOS for their entry-level phones, it is not devoid of bloatware and plenty of ads. You are going to have to uninstall a couple of bloatware applications. You can of course tone them down if you know your way around Android. As for AI features, there is none here. Redmi is probably thinking we don't need that for entry-level phones. The competition does not think so though. I can mention at least 3 entry-level phones with proper AI features. But moving on, performance. Since the Redmi 15C has the same Helio G81 Ultra as its predecessor, there is no expected performance boost here, at least on paper. The improvements you are going to find here is mostly going to be based on the optimization of the software, and as usual, I do not recommend going below the 6GB version. You also have to bear in mind that this is an entry-level phone. The G81 Ultra is pretty much the standard for most phones. Only Samsung has left the competition in that regard because they offered G99 on the A07. Since I don't have my hands on that yet, I'm not sure how the performance will compare, but G99 is a better processor, so we are expecting better performance. But the focus is the Redmi 15C. Majority of the competition are still sticking to the same G81 Ultra or maybe G85. So you could say it measures up when compared to what the competition is offering at this price point. It is not a gaming device, but if you must, it will handle some gaming at low graphics. Just keep your expectations low. As for the battery life, it has been improved significantly. 6000 mAh. That is a boost from the 5160 we got with the 14C. The 14C had really good battery life, and this has taken it a step further. So ideally, for the average user, you should get more than a day of use, probably even 2 days depending on how you use your phone. For a heavy user, you might still probably need to charge by the end of the day. And one thing I commend Redmi for is the fact that they have improved the charging speed to 33 watts. One of the problems I had with the 14C was that it takes too long to charge. It came with a 33 watts charging brick, but the max charging supported was 18 watts. The 15C now supports 33 watts faster charging, although it's still going to take a bit of time to charge full since it has 6000 mAh battery, maybe somewhere around 80 to 90 minutes or a little bit above that. Nothing much has changed when it comes to the camera configuration coming from its predecessor, except the fact that they've dropped the selfie camera from 13 to 8 megapixels. It is still the same 50 megapixel main camera. Photos come out okay for a phone at this price point. You want to stick to ideal lighting conditions. You don't want to use this in low light. You're not going to get good results. You also want to disable any default beauty filters from the selfie camera so you get sharper results. For video performance, it still maxes out at 1080p 30 frames per second. The Redmi 15C is an okay device for its price. I would have complained about the use of the Helio G81 Ultra, but so far around this price point we've not seen the competition use anything better, except maybe Samsung with the G99. But when we get our hands on that, we're going to do a proper comparison. With that said, it's an incremental yet decent upgrade from its predecessor. That is not to say you should upgrade from the 14C to this. There's not enough here that should make you upgrade. But if you are trying to choose between the 14C and the 15C, definitely go for the newer 15C. It offers just as much value when compared to devices at the same price point, but it's lacking in a few software features like multitasking and AI, but still okay for an entry-level phone. The Redmi 15C is not a phone you pick up and expect it to do heavy lifting. It's something I recommend picking up as maybe a backup phone, or for someone as their first phone, or maybe for someone who doesn't do much with their smartphone. It has really good battery life, it would last you the whole day and even more than that. It's also fit for media consumption. It will do okay scrolling through social media, running one app at a time, and your essential smartphone needs. As long as you acknowledge that it's an entry-level phone, it will serve you just fine. And I still think it's a good device for its price. Again, don't go below the 6GB version. That's all from me. Peace out.